Here are the front pieces. The center front will have the side front laid on it, right sides facing. Start sewing from the hem by 0.5 inch. Then proceed through the bustier curve carefully till the overbust area. Attach the other side front, laying the right side again on the center front in a similar way. Sew from the hem to the overbust. Here I'm placing the fabric on fold to retrim the overbust. Do this only if necessary. Now to the seam lines. Do well to notch along the seams to release tension, and it also helps the cup open up better. Repeat by notching the other seam line as shown. Here are the back pieces. Lay the center back on the side back, so starting once again from the hem to the over chest. Notch along the seam lines, trimming off the excess at the top of the side back. Repeat same process in joining the other back pieces. Notch, trim off excesses at the top. Next, to join the back bodies to the skirt block, match up the waistline. Indicate the dart points. Do the same on the other side. Now lay right sides of the skirt and bodice waist together. Start sewing by 0.5 inch. Stop few inches before the dart. The dart length is 6 inches. Draw the dart line. Place the fabric on fold on the dart line. Sew the dart stopping at the 6-inch stop point. Align the waistline again. Flat open the bodice dart and completely sew the waistline. Open and see the right side with the dart matching up nicely. To join the skirt and the bodice of the front, place the skirt on fold and notch the waist center. Fold and notch the middle of the bodice as well. Match up the notches and pin in place. Align the fabric to match up, then join by 0.5 inch. Flat open the dart seam lines till you reach the other side. Lay flat the front of the dress and see your results. If satisfied, it is time to top stitch the lace on the dress. Pin the edges of the lace on the fabric. The raw edge of the lace will be sealed with a bias tape. Top stitch on the bias very close to the fold, ensuring the lace is beneath the seam line. Do this from one end to the other. Cut out excess bias if any. Top stitch the open side of the bias, ensuring the stitch is very close to the fold. Now the lace has been placed at the bottom skirt. Let us attach the yoke. First, neatly turn the neckline of the lace. Open flat the bias. Sew on the crease of the bias along the neckline curve. You can also notch the seams, although you can skip this part as the allowance is less than half. Now fold the bias to the wrong side of the lace. Allow a bit of the lace fabric to roll back as well. Top stitch very close to the bias fold till you reach the end. Place the yoke on fold. Notch the center. Place the main fabric on fold as well. Notch the center. Match the notches, placing right sides together. Sew from the middle. Open flat the dart seams as you sew along to the other end. Flip the fabric. Continue sewing from the middle to the other end. Now see the right side with the yoke attached. Next, attach the yoke to the back bodice. The bias has been semi-attached. Fold to the wrong side and top stitch close to the fold. To fix the yoke, lay the right side on the right side of the main fabric. Move the yoke 1.5 inches away from the center back. Go ahead to sew by half an inch till you reach the armhole. Flip upward the yoke, then trim out excess fabric if needed. To join the shoulder line, place the yoke together. First, the wrong sides together. Sew the shoulder by 0.5 inch. Then flip the fabric, placing right sides together. Sew again by 0.5 inch. You have the right side neatly sewn and the wrong side with no raw edges. The cape. Place right sides together, sew the straight side by 0.5 inch. Flip the fabric, see interfacing has been ironed on one of the pieces. Sew straight down. Trim excess fabric for aligned ends. Trim excess seam lines to reduce bulkiness. Now both capes has been coupled. It is time to turn inside out. One cape has been turned and flat ironed, and you have both of them flat ironed. I have gone ahead to assemble the lining piece same way as the main fabric, the front and back pieces. Next, to fix the bra cup, bend the cup inward. We are to sew a dart to deepen the cup, highlighting 0.5 inch mark to sew the dart on, stopping at the bust point. Trim out the dart seam, push the cup in position and see the deeper effect the cup has. Place the wrong side of the cup on the wrong side of the lining like so. One has been pinned in position. Measure from the under bust to the half length. Mark the resulting inches on the other dart line. Place the cup on fold. Match the center on the under bust point and pin in place. Flip the lining piece to fill in the fabric in the cup's area. Pin one top corner. Carefully spread the fabric in the cup. Pin the other top corner. Flip the lining again and it is time to sew the outer curve of the bra cup on the lining. Top stitch 0.25 inch away from the cup edge, from one top corner to the other. Do this on both bra cups. Backstitch at the start and end points. It is time to cover the rough seams of the main fabric with the lining. Here we have the main fabric right side facing up and the front yoke flipped backward. Come in with the lining piece, wrong side facing up. Match up the over bust seam line as shown. Sew by 0.5 inch or follow the seam line already created. When done, notch along the seam line. Flip down the lining piece in position. Moving on to the dress hem. Notice the lining is 2.5 inch shorter than the main dress length. Face the hem by placing right side of the lining and main fabric together. Then go ahead to sew a straight line by 0.5 inch from one end to the other end. Turning the dress back in position, see how the main fabric rolls to the wrong side as a result of shortening the length of the lining. To the back of the dress, sew over the lining in a similar way, placing right sides together and matching up the over chest seam line. Sew from one end to the other. Create notches, move to the hem, right sides still together, sew a straight line of 0.5 inch. Turn inside out and you have the over chest neatly turned and the hemline as well. Next to the armhole, attach the cape. Placing right sides together, flip the cape as it should be. Notice how the cape matches up with the over bust seam line at the top. The bottom is pushed upward by 0.5 inch. The cape is a bit pleated, moving away from the side by about 2 inches. Matching up the other end of the cape with the back armhole. Pay attention to the placement of the cape so it doesn't twist. Match up the cape with the over chest seam line. Create little pleats and move away from the side as shown. Sew by 0.5 inch. Here the cape has been attached. Next, fix the main sleeve. Bend aside the cape. Lay the right side of the Chantilly lace on the dress. Match the sleeves cap with the armhole to identify shortages or excesses. Once that check is done, the joining process can begin. Sew from one side by 0.5 inch. Stop after a stitch length of about 4 inches. Go over to the other side and sew by 0.5 inch as usual. Continue sewing till you reach the other stitch points. Now the sleeve has been attached and you see how the cape lays over the sleeve. Place the dress on fold to the wrong side. Starting from the round sleeve, mark the seam allowances used. Here it is 1.5 inches. Start sewing by 1.5 inches and stop for now at the armhole. Back to the sleeves hem. Fold thinly like a triangle the seam allowances as shown and pin in place. Come in with the full circle lace flare. Identify the right side. Hold together the flare like so. Tuck it into the round sleeve. Align the edges of the fabric to join them. Creatively make gathers with excess fabric on the flare. Sew by 0.5 inch. While creating pinches and gathers around the sleeve circumference, on reaching the stop point, backstitch and put outward the flare. See how the gathers were evenly distributed. Here is the center back. From the over chest, measure 19 inches. Here the loose stitch stops for the zipper, and from the half length, measure 20 inches. Here the slit will start. A normal stitch will be sewn from the loose stitch point to the slit point. Sewing the loose stitch, backstitch at the zipper stop point. Continue with a normal stitch to the slits. Taking the side shape, mark the seam allowances added. Here 2 inches was used from the armhole where the initial stitch stopped. Start sewing the shape from the chest, the waist, the hip. Measure from the half length of the bodice, in this case 19 inches, to identify the half length of the dress. Mark the 2 inches seam allowance there, and at the hem, mark 2.5 inches to taper the hem a bit. Continue the sewing process to the hem. Flip the dress to the other side. Sew down the side shape, and this project is complete. If this tutorial was helpful, please drop a comment, like, share and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on your notification bell for more videos. Bye.